Good morning, everybody. It's Jim Feist in Las Vegas and Hank Goldberg in Las Vegas as well. Good morning, Hank.
Jim, what's going on?
Well, we got baseball, we've got football, we've got horse racing, just a little bit of everything, all the things that we love to talk about and bet on.
Yeah, got the Pacific Classic tomorrow, and also the Alabama at Saratoga. I'll have both of those for our clients. And I had a big horse racing selection week last week. How about that Pittsburgh Steelers defense giving up 51 points last night?
Well, it's a typical Tomlin preseason stuff where he just doesn't give a damn. That's the way he is. A lot of coaches are like that. Some coaches want to win, and other coaches don't. They don't want to get anybody hurt, and when you look at what happened to Philadelphia, they already got Wentz banged up and don't know when he's going to play, and now Foles gets hit. So I mean, it's really a roll of the dice every time you put somebody out there, whether they're going to get hit or not. Especially when you have a lot of rookies and team players playing together that aren't used to playing together, and there's not a lot of cohesiveness in these preseason games.
I see these analysts, the guy who Gasbag on ESPN, who's talking about how the Eagles are going to be in trouble because they need to get Wentz ready for the opening game. So what if he's not ready for the opening game? If they don't have Foles, because it's one game. So if he's not ready for the first two games, it's two games. As long as he's ready for the season. The season doesn't rest on two games with that team. And he's talking like, their whole season's on the brink. And, I saw him yesterday talking about it. And, he's the analyst for ESPN. He used to be an executive in the league. And it takes him 5 minutes to get around to his point. And he's talking about how this is a disaster for the Eagles. Doesn't mean anything yet, Wentz is going to be okay. He may miss the first game.
Well, yeah, they're still a good team at every position. They're solid and they're deep, and you're going to lose games. I mean, even Belichick has said with the new collective bargaining rules about limiting practices and stuff, it takes 4 games to really get in shape. So. A team that starts out 1-3 or 2-2, it doesn't mean they're not going to the playoffs, and it doesn't mean they're not going to the Super Bowl. So, people get a little too amped up about that. No question.
Last night on the Jets game telecast, the announcers were saying that it's a foregone conclusion that they're going to trade Bridgewater. Not so sure. He's looked pretty good in preseason, and the rookie. Didn't play as well as he did the week before. I would keep Bridgewater. Well, I think I wouldn't be surprised if he started the season with Bridgewater because he's playing very well and he's got experience. And of the two experienced quarterbacks, they could still get something for the other one. But Bridgewater has outperformed all 3 quarterbacks in the first 2 games.
Well, I like Bridgewater. There is that serious injury that he had a couple of years ago, and their offensive line is pretty pathetic. And if Bridgewater is going to take the kind of hits that could be projected, he will take, especially when teams start blitzing. And you got to wonder about his stability. I'd rather have Bridgewater behind a more solid offensive line. Personally, I'd start McCown and let Darnold watch for a while and trade Bridgewater to get some help at other positions, especially that offensive line if they can get somebody to fill in, because they're pretty bad.
Well, the difference between Bridgewater and the other veteran is Bridgewater's mobility and his ability to make plays on the run. He's really good this preseason.
He's a good player. He was great. He was a good player with Minnesota. It was a shame what happened to him, but Anyway, there's the Giants, of course. Their backup quarterbacks did not look good in the first game, and Eli, of course, is an aging veteran, and their offensive line has got to shore up and play better. And now Barkley has the hamstring tweaked, and he had that one good run, but after that it was kind of marginal. And then he has the hamstring injury. Big Ben didn't play this week for Pittsburgh, but they had the concussion protocol, but I guess he's okay, so he'll be fine probably for the dress rehearsal next week. That's a game maybe Tomlin will want to win. That's possible. I'll have to look at that closely. But that's about what it is in preseason. It's about knowing what the coaches want to do in these games. Now, this week, there's a lot of money coming in on the Miami Dolphins over Atlanta. Have you noticed that?
Over Atlanta? Atlanta's not playing the Dolphins.
Excuse me, Carolina.
Yeah, Atlanta's playing Kansas City, aren't they?
Let me go look here. I think I have that right. I think Miami is playing. As I said, at Carolina. Carolina's a 3-point favorite. A lot of people liking Miami in that spot. Kansas City is at Atlanta, and they are favored now. Atlanta was a 2.5-point favorite. Now they're 1.5 and 2-point dog. Kansas City's favored on the road.
Yeah, I was over at Westgate a couple of days ago for a meeting, and Jay asked me who were my two games, and I told him about the Kansas City record in week 2 being 1-14, and he said one of the guys that he really respects told him that they like the other side in that game, and of course that game has been moving. So I know which way the game is moving, but Kansas City is historically terrible in week 2, 1-14. Can't go against that trend.
No, I'm not putting my money in that spot. I'll either pass but then again, I have to look at what the game.
I'll tell you something interesting about Miami. They played Tampa last week, and they outgained Tampa on the ground 5.3 to 2.5.
That tells you a lot about Tampa also.
Miami's got some issues, though, this week. The quarterback threw a rookie out of the huddle because he missed an assignment. And the coach supported the quarterback. But it's not the quarterback's job to throw anybody out of a huddle. And there's always some dissension or problem of that nature on the Dolphins. And it has continued under Gase. And for him to support this quarterback, whose claim to fame is that he's missed a year and a half, is beyond me. And it's a here we go again with that team. And that is a bad football team. And the odds makers have rated them the third worst team in football, and I'm going along with that.
Well, who is the worst team in football, in your opinion?
I'm just going along with what the odds makers say about who the third worst team is. Who's the worst team in football right now? That's a good question. I think Buffalo's going to be pretty bad this year. I think I haven't really given that much thought. But
that Buffalo should be have a very poor season, actually. But Arizona probably would be.
Well, Arizona's got a really good running back, and they, depending on how quickly they put Rosen in there at quarterback, they've got some good defensive players. I don't think, they're in a tough division, but I don't think they're among the 3 bottom teams.
It's going to.
I mean, one of the 3 bottom teams is a team that has no chance to beat anybody.
That's true. And And you know, it could come down to a major injury in the next couple of weeks too. So it could come down to who the injury situation. So anyway, you see anything in baseball that's exciting? I mean, we have a hell of a pennant race going on in the West. Oakland.
Yeah, Houston has really been playing poorly, and they created a pennant race in their division. And the Dodgers have, without a bullpen, went into a 5-game snag, and that's a heck of a race. The Red Sox just keep winning, so there's no surprise there. There's nothing new in the pennant race from when the last time we talked about it. I said I was going to talk a little bit about the first weekend of the season and the football season, or Labor Day, and the Notre Dame Michigan game, and it'll boil down to whether Notre Dame has a quarterback or not, and Michigan's great defense, because Michigan is going to have a great defense this year, and Notre Dame with the home field advantage. That's going to be a tough game to handicap.
Yeah. What do you think about the SEC? The Big 12. Anybody stand out in that conference to you? Any sleepers?
Oklahoma's going to be good. Oklahoma's going to be good again. Snyder's come back for another year. I think that's interesting. I think Oklahoma's going to be another powerful team again. Outside of that, I haven't done a lot of work on it yet.
I'm looking at West Virginia to be a little bit of a sleeper in that conference. They got some talent there that I think could really shake things up. They're going to be very high scoring, very explosive on offense.
Okay.
Keep an eye on that.
I've been looking more at the SEC and the ACC so far, and see who's going to be strong in those two conferences, and the Big Ten. Wisconsin's going to be good again. Ohio State, that situation still lingers. I think I had lunch with a couple of handicappers yesterday, and the odds are that Ohio State is not going to make a move, and Urban is going to be back.
That's probably so. Anything going on this weekend in horse racing that you're excited about?
I told you earlier that you got the Pacific Classic, which doesn't have a great field, and the Alabama is a Grade 1 stakes at Saratoga. Good stakes race at Monmouth too. So, there's 2 stakes at Saratoga and 3 really good stakes races, big stakes races at Del Mar, with the highlight. It's always a big day when they have their big stakes race, and probably be about close to 40,000 people there. Will be a lot of eye candy at the track. It's always a big day there.
That's great. Well, Hank's plays are at JimFeist.com, as well as mine. I had the Patriots and the Packers last night. Hank's been winning, and of course last week Hank had a big day in horses. Had a big ticket, a $70-some horse. Hank?
I had a 3 in 1 week last week in preseason football, and I've got 3 games that I like the rest of the weekend. I actually have 4 games that I like this weekend.
It's all right.
Starting tonight. So
everybody, go to JimFeist.com to get Hank's plays and my plays. You will make some money. So make sure you do that. And thank you again for tuning in with Hank and I. Thank you for your time. I know you're busy. And We'll talk again on Monday.
Okay. All right, Jim. Thank